Welcome. This is a product overview of ComplianceForge's core fundamentals procedures, built on the Secure Controls Framework's core baseline for small and mid-sized businesses. Over the next few minutes, we will walk through what it is, what problems it solves, exactly what is included, and why procedures matter for being both secure and compliant. Procedures for the SCF, Cybersecurity Oversight, Resilience and Enablement Fundamentals, a straightforward compliance solution for Texas Senate Bill 2610, editable Microsoft Word templates that enable tailoring for your organization's specific needs, and immense time and cost savings since the procedures require minimal effort to customize. If a regulator or insurer asked your small business to show how it actually runs its security controls day to day, could you produce it? For smaller businesses pursuing a safe harbor posture under laws like Texas Senate Bill 2610, written policies are only half the story. Procedures are the operational evidence that proves the controls are real, and writing them from a blank page is exactly the work a lean team has no time for. The core fundamentals version of the CSOP gives you a running start. Editable, step-by-step procedures, built on the SCF core set of 68 controls across 20 domains, scoped specifically for smaller organizations. The templates get you roughly 80 to 90% of the way there, and then your team fills in the details only they know. The Core Fundamentals Procedures is a Secure Controls Framework licensed content provider product, providing 68 controls across 20 domains, specifically tailored for small and medium businesses. The SCF created the Cybersecurity Oversight, Resilience and Enablement Initiative as a means to help an organization tailor cybersecurity and data protection controls for its specific needs. The genesis of the SCF Core Fundamentals came from Texas Senate Bill 2610, which named the SCF as one of a select few cybersecurity frameworks, with adequacy to provide necessary security coverage. Texas Senate Bill 2610 is the latest in a line of U.S. state-level cybersecurity safe harbor laws, which provide legal protection for businesses if, at the time of an incident, the business can prove it implemented reasonable cybersecurity practices. This type of legislation is meant to encourage smaller businesses to invest in cybersecurity, to reduce legal exposure, and the control set is scoped to protect people, processes, technologies, data, and facilities against common threats, while remaining attainable for small and medium businesses. The Core Fundamentals Procedures contains the procedures necessary to comply with Texas Senate Bill 2610. So what exactly is the Core Fundamentals version of the CSOP? As a visual, here is where the Secure Controls Framework sits on the spectrum of cybersecurity frameworks. Because the Core Fundamentals has a one-to-one mapping to the SCF, it inherits crosswalks to over 200 leading laws, regulations, and frameworks. It is editable cybersecurity procedure documentation, delivered as a Microsoft Word document. The CSOP addresses the how questions in an audit, because procedures provide the means for how your organization's policies and standards are actually implemented day to day. Implementing cybersecurity has to be attainable for small and medium businesses, and the SCF Core Fundamentals is designed to enable them to successfully implement and maintain fundamental cybersecurity practices. The control set includes many of the requirements found in NIST CSF 2.0, so it can be an excellent starting point on a path of maturity toward full NIST CSF alignment. Smaller businesses have to start somewhere, and the Core Fundamentals makes for an achievable objective in cybersecurity. The controls in the SCF Core Fundamentals are scoped for smaller businesses and are designed to meet 4 requirements in Texas Senate Bill 2610. Contain administrative, technical, and physical safeguards for the protection of personal identifying information and sensitive personal information. Protect the security of personal identifying information and sensitive personal information. Protect against any threat or hazard to the integrity of that information. And protect against unauthorized access to or acquisition of personal identifying information and sensitive personal information that would result in a material risk of identity theft or other fraud. The Core Fundamentals version of the CSOP contains a catalog of procedure statements applicable to 68 SCF controls. While the control catalog of the SCF contains 1,342 unique controls, the 68 controls of the Core Fundamentals represent a mere 5% of the SCF, and that is by design. Ever since the SCF was first released in 2018, there has never been an expectation for any organization, regardless of its size or industry, to implement every SCF control. The reason is simple. The SCF was designed to be tailored to an organization's specific needs based on must-have versus nice-to-have requirements. Minimum compliance requirements, or MCR, are the absolute minimum requirements that must be addressed to comply with applicable laws, regulations, and contracts. And discretionary security requirements, or DSR, are tied to the organization's risk appetite, since they are above and beyond the minimum. The organization itself identifies additional cybersecurity and data protection controls to address voluntary industry practices or internal requirements, such as findings from internal audits or risk assessments. As a visual, compliant and secure are overlapping, but different objectives. Smaller businesses have to start somewhere, and the SCF core fundamentals makes for an achievable objective in cybersecurity. This product is a one-time purchase of editable Microsoft Office-based documentation templates. There is no software to install, no agent to deploy, no account to provision, and no cloud environment to configure. If your organization can open and edit Microsoft Word and Excel files, the core fundamentals version of the CSOP is ready to use. It is delivered as a fully editable Word file with a companion Excel mapping. Compatible with Word 2016 and newer, Microsoft 365, OpenOffice, LibreOffice, and Google Docs. Documentation is delivered via email download link within 1 to 2 business days of purchase. There is no installer, no license server, and no activation step. A single entity license is included with purchase. There is no recurring subscription requirement, although an optional update subscription is available to stay current as frameworks evolve. This deployment model is intentional. Procedures benefit from being in the organization's own hands, inside your own wiki, SharePoint, or document management systems, rather than locked inside a vendor's SaaS tool. Procedures are living documents that need to live where the teams that execute them work. The core fundamentals addresses the most common problems smaller businesses face when operationalizing the SCF core fundamentals control set into day-to-day procedures. The first is a lack of in-house security documentation experience. Writing security documentation is a skill that many good cybersecurity professionals simply are not proficient at and avoid at all cost. Tasking your security analysts and engineers to write comprehensive documentation means actively taking them away from protecting and defending your network, which is not a wise use of their time. The second is compliance requirements. Nearly every organization, regardless of industry, is required to have formally documented security policies and standards, with requirements ranging from PCI DSS to HIPAA to NIST 800-171. The third is audit failures. Security documentation does not age gracefully like a fine wine, and outdated documentation leads to gaps that expose organizations to audit failures and system compromises. And the fourth is vendor requirements. It is very common for clients and partners to request evidence of a security program, and that includes policies and standards. The core fundamentals provides this evidence. Customers choose the CSOP because they have a need for comprehensive cybersecurity procedures to address their compliance needs. They need to be able to edit the document to their specific technology, staffing, and other considerations. They want documentation that is directly linked to leading frameworks like NIST 853, NIST 800-171, ISO 27002, and HIPAA, and they need an affordable and timely solution to address not having procedures. Until now, developing a template to provide worthwhile cybersecurity procedures has been somewhat of a missing link within the cybersecurity documentation industry. ComplianceForge solved this issue with the CSOP and is the only provider to have an affordable and comprehensive procedures template. It can save a business several hundred hours of work in developing control activities and procedure statements. The first outcome is clear documentation. The core fundamentals provides comprehensive documentation to prove that your security program exists, saving hundreds of hours and tens of thousands of dollars in staff and consultant expenses. The second is time savings. It is a semi-customized solution that requires minimal resources to fine-tune for your organization's specific needs. The third is alignment with over 200 frameworks. Because the core fundamentals has a one-to-one mapping to the SCF, it inherits crosswalks to over 200 leading laws, regulations, and industry frameworks at no extra effort. And the fourth, it is Texas Senate Bill 2610 Safe Harbor ready. It is designed specifically to satisfy the reasonable practices, requirements of that law, and similar state cybersecurity safe harbor laws, providing the documented evidence required to claim that protection. So what do you actually receive? The Core Fundamentals version of the CSOP is delivered as an editable Microsoft Word document with a companion Excel mapping. Purchase includes a single entity license and the first year of product updates. The Microsoft Word procedures: a cover page and document control template, and procedure statements for the 68 SCF Core Fundamentals controls, organized by SCF domain. Each procedure includes standardized fields for the process owner, operator, occurrence, scope, location, performance target, and technology in use. The Excel crosswalk mapping. Each procedure is mapped to its SCF Core Fundamentals control with inherited crosswalks to NIST 800-171, NIST CSF, ISO 27002, and the controls named in Texas Senate Bill 2610 and similar state safe harbor laws. NIST Workforce Alignment. Every procedure is assigned work roles from the NIST Cybersecurity Workforce Framework, so the procedures direct the work of employees and contractors and minimize assumptions about who is responsible for what. And optionally, it pairs with the Core Fundamentals policies and standards. The CSOP provides the procedures, the how. The companion policies and standards product provides the why and the what that these procedures operationalize. Most smaller businesses purchase both to ensure their documentation set is internally consistent and audit-ready for safe harbor purposes. Now compare that against the two alternatives for obtaining quality cybersecurity documentation. For your internal staff to generate comparable documentation, it would take them an estimated 360 internal staff work hours, which equates to a cost of approximately $33,000 in staff-related expenses. That is about 4 to 8 months of development time, where your staff would be diverted from other work. If you hire a consultant to generate this documentation, it would take them an estimated 240 consultant work hours, which equates to a cost of approximately $75,000. That is about 3 to 4 months of development time for a contractor to provide you with the deliverable. The Core Fundamentals version of the CSOP is approximately 4% of the cost for your internal staff and approximately 2% of the cost for an external consultant to generate equivalent documentation. The CSOP itself is $1,400. Every procedure statement is mapped to its parent SCF control and inherits crosswalks to other leading frameworks. A PDF example of the procedures is available on the product page, so you can see the quality and structure before you buy. So how much work is left for you? Here is the customization process at a glance. ComplianceForge aims for approximately an 80% solution for the CSOP, since procedure templates can be more comprehensive than policy templates. ComplianceForge did the heavy lifting, and all that remains is to fine-tune procedures with the specific information that only your organization knows. In practice, customization is filling in the blanks for each procedure standardized fields. The process owner, for example the business owner, your CISO, or an IT manager. The process operator, for example an MSP technician, or in-house IT staff. The occurrence cadence, annual, quarterly, monthly, or continuous. The scope of impact. The location of additional documentation. The performance target or service level agreement. And the technology in use. If you want a hand, ComplianceForge offers optional professional services. They are not required to customize ComplianceForge documentation. The 5-hour bundle may be beneficial for companies that need some guidance on getting started with how to tailor their documentation. The 10-hour bundle is for companies that need additional guidance on tailoring their documentation to meet their compliance requirements. And the 20-hour bundle is for companies that need robust services beyond just 10 hours to assist in tailoring their documentation. Purchased professional service hours expire 120 days, or 4 months, from the time of purchase if unused. Hours are intended to supplement, not replace, your own customization work, since only your organization knows the exact details to tailor your documentation. There are more reasons to buy. The first is that procedures matter. Procedures operationalize policies and standards, and this is a key concept to being both secure and compliant. Organizations are often not at a loss for a set of policies, but executing those requirements falls short without documented procedures. As a visual, Here's how policies and procedures relate, and where their ownership differs. Policies, standards, and controls are centrally managed at the corporate level, while procedures are decentralized and defined at the team level. Your customization is to help fill in the blanks for each procedure. The first field is the process owner. This is the name of the individual or team accountable for the procedure being performed. For example, the Chief Information Security Officer or a cybersecurity director. The process operator. This is the name of the individual or team responsible to perform the actual task, for example, a SOC analyst, a risk analyst, or a network admin. The occurrence. This is the cadence for how often the procedure needs to be performed, from annual all the way down to daily, continuous, or as needed. For example, quarterly vulnerability scans, monthly software patches, or annual risk assessments. And the scope of impact. This is whether the procedure covers purely internal processes, purely external processes, such as outsourced vendor processes, or both. The impact can cover a system, an application, a process, a team, a department, a user, a client, a vendor, a geographic region, or the entire company. The location of additional documentation. This is where additional documentation is stored or can be found. You might want to reference a wiki, a SharePoint site, or another documentation repository. The performance target. This addresses targeted timelines for the process to be completed, such as service level agreements. Not all processes have SLAs or targeted timelines. And the technology in use. This addresses the applications, systems, and services that are available to perform the procedure. For example, Splunk as a security incident event manager to collect logs, or a file integrity monitoring tool. To help illustrate the importance of well-written procedures, here's the difference between poorly written procedures and well-written ones, using a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Not enough. Put peanut butter on bread, put jelly on bread, eat. Whoops. Versus just right. Place 2 slices of bread on a plate. Open the jar of peanut butter and use a butter knife to spread approximately 2 tablespoons of peanut butter on 1 slice of bread. Spread approximately 2 tablespoons of jelly on the other slice. Put the bread slices together with the peanut butter and jelly sides facing each other. Take 1 bite-sized portion, then chew and swallow. And repeat until the sandwich is gone. Yum. That is the level of clarity your procedures need. One more reason to buy. As this diagram shows, policies, control objectives, standards, guidelines, and procedures build on each other. The Companion Core Fundamentals Policies and Standards product covers the policies and standards, while the CSOP covers the procedures. The CSOP answers the how question for cybersecurity operations through documented procedures. The Companion Core Fundamentals Policies and Standards product answers the why and what questions through policies, control objectives, and standards that these procedures operationalize. Buying both as a bundle is the most common configuration for smaller businesses, aligning with the SCF Core Fundamentals. The 2 products are intentionally mapped to each other. Every standard has a corresponding procedure statement. That one-to-one relationship is what makes the documentation set audit-ready for SCF-CAP, third-party assessment, and for safe harbor purposes under laws like Texas Senate Bill 2610. One very special aspect of the CSOP is that it leverages the NIST Cybersecurity Workforce Framework. NIST released the NICE framework in 2017 with the purpose of streamlining cybersecurity roles and responsibilities. The CSOP uses the work roles identified in the NICE framework to help make assigning the tasks associated with procedures more efficient and manageable. By assigning work roles, the CSOP helps direct the work of employees and contractors to minimize assumptions about who is responsible for certain cybersecurity and privacy tasks. And keep in mind, these are merely recommendations and are fully editable for every organization. This is just a helpful point in the right direction. At the heart of it, the CSOP provides an organization with clear cybersecurity procedures that can scale to meet the needs and complexity of any team. The procedures are mapped to leading frameworks, so it is straightforward to have procedures that directly link to requirements from NIST 800-171, ISO 27002, NIST 853, and many other common statutory, regulatory, and contractual frameworks. The value of the CSOP comes from having well-constructed procedure statements that can help you become audit-ready in a fraction of the time and cost to do it yourself, or to hire a consultant to come on site and write it for you. The entire concept is focused on two things: providing written procedures to walk your team members through the steps they need to meet a requirement to keep your organization secure, and helping your company be audit-ready with the appropriate level of due diligence evidence that allows you to demonstrate your organization meets its obligations. If you have any questions, please email support@ComplianceForge.com or call 1-307-241-8740. We've been helping organizations since 2005, and we are always happy to help.